Assalamualaikum, selamat sejahtera. How are you? Apa khabar? I hope everyone is fine during this MCO. In our previous class, we have discussed thoroughly about digestion in human, the enzymes involved in digestion, and the chemical compounds that act as the substrate or the product. So today, we are going to discuss more on what happened after digestion process. Okay, so the process that occur after digestion is the process of absorption. All right, the organ involved in absorption of nutrient is the ileum or small intestine. Okay, um, if you look at this is the small intestine. Small intestine is like a long tube and folded, put into our abdominal cavity. Nutrient is being absorbed in the internal layer of the small intestine. If we make a cross section of a small intestine and enlarge this part here, this is what it will looks like. Okay, the internal layer of the small intestine is also folded and covered by tiny projection that we call as villi or villus. Villi is the plural of a villus. So villus is singular, villi is the plural of villus. Villus has special features that makes it suitable for nutrient absorption. Okay, the first features the first feature is it is one cell thick. You can see from the diagram the wall of the villus consists of a layer of one epithelial cells. Uh, a layer of one epithelial cell. This will accelerate the nutrient absorption as the nutrient can move through the epithelial cell easily into the blood capillaries and lacteal. Number two, villi also have network of blood capillaries and lacteal to ease the transport of digestive product, which is the nutrient that have been digested, to the whole body. And number three, villus also has a unique and a specific cell called goblet cell. Okay, this is goblet cell. A goblet cell function is to produce mucus to aid digestion, and if we enlarge the wall of the villus, this is what it looks like. This is epithelial cell. This is a goblet cell. On the surface of an epithelial cell, this is the epithelial cell. On its surface, there are also tiny projection of microvillus. This tiny projection of microvillus will provide large surface area to increase the rate of nutrient absorption in the internal layer of the small intestine. So, what is being absorbed in the small intestine? Well, it is pretty much all the monomers of the organic compound digested. For example, carbohydrate, we have the monomers, which is the monosaccharides such as the glucose, galactose, and fructose. For protein, the monomers are amino acids, and for lipids are fatty acid and glycerol. Okay, the nutrients can be divided into two types, which is water soluble and lipid soluble. So water soluble nutrient is glucose, amino acid, galactose, fructose, and vitamin B and C. So this nutrient will diffuse through the epithelial cell into the blood capillaries. And blood capillaries is part of the blood circulatory system. The lipid-soluble nutrients such as fatty acid, glycerol, vitamin A, D, E, and K will be absorbed and diffused through the epithelial cell and absorbed into the lacteal. Okay, so lacteal is a part of lymphatic system, and both lymphatic system and blood circulatory system involved in transporting all the nutrient to the whole body. Okay, now I would like to discuss more on this lipid droplets. Okay, as you can see, during digestion, the lipids are being digested into glycerol and fatty acid. But during absorption, when glycerol and fatty acid diffuse through the epithelial cell, both are combined again to form a lipid droplets before they enter the lacteal. Okay, there are there are one there is one organelle involved in this reaction, which is the smooth smooth endoplasmic reticulum. If you can refer back to the function of smooth you can see that its function as to synthesize lipids. So this is where it happens. Okay, it synthesizes lipid by combining glycerol and fatty acid that has been digested into lipid droplets before being absorbed or before diffused into the lacteal. Okay, so refer back about a smooth the function of smooth Okay, now after absorption, what happened after that? After absorption process, the nutrient will be going assimilation process. So what is assimilation? Assimilation refers to the use of absorbed nutrient to synthesize complex compounds. It is in reverse with digestion. So digestion from complex compound to simpler compound, whereas in assimilation, it is from simpler compound into complex compound. Okay, the main organ involved in assimilation is liver. Assimilation actually occurs in two places, which is the liver and the cell and body cells. But the main organ is the liver. Okay, so what does liver do? Liver controls the amount of nutrients that enter the blood circulatory system. It controls the amount of nutrients that enters the blood circulatory system. Its three main function is number one is for metabolism of digested food. So remember again, metabolism is all chemical reaction. For example, cellular respiration. So the function of liver is for metabolism of digested food. It is the function of the liver. The second function is for detoxification. So it expels toxic substances in our body uh, through the urine, through the kidney, and excrete in the urine. And the third function is for storage of nutrient. In the liver, excess glucose, for example, is turned into glycogen, and then the glycogen will be stored in the muscle cell. Okay. Now here we have two types of liver. the first is a normal liver, and this one, the second liver, is the liver of a cirrhosis patient. Cirrhosis is a type of liver disease. You can surf the web, or you can read more about cirrhosis in your textbook. All right. So as I said before, assimilation happens in two places. First is in the liver, and then the second place is in body cells. So in the liver, okay, uh, we look at the nutrient one by one. Okay, first we look at the glucose. Okay, so when the glucose is being absorbed into the blood circulatory system, it will be transported to the liver. So glucose is mainly used in cellular respiration. So after being transported to the liver will control the amount of nutrient and will transport the glucose to the body cells that needed glucose for cellular respiration. Sometimes, not sometimes, usually the glucose transported was excess. Okay, so the excess glucose will be stored in the form of glycogen. Okay, will be converted into glycogen and will be stored throughout the body. So the glycogen will be converted again into glucose when the body cells need glucose for cellular respiration. Okay, um, if the glycogen has been stored in maximum, so there are excess glycogen, the glycogen will be converted into fats and will be stored under the skin in the adipose tissue. Okay, this is what happened to glucose in the liver, the first place. And then what will happen to amino acid? Amino acid also, after being absorbed in the blood circulatory system, it will be transported into the liver. So amino acid will be used for synthesizing plasma protein and enzyme. Okay, uh, some of it will be used to synthesize protoplasm in the cells. Okay, um, if the amino acid is excess, so it will be converted into urea in a process called deamination. So the urea will be transported to the kidney to be excreted in the urine. So excess amino acid will be turned into urea and excreted by the kidney in the form in the urine. Okay, so this is what happened in the liver: assimilation of glucose and amino acid. Assimilation refers to the use of absorbed nutrient to synthesize complex compound. So glucose uh, will be converted into glycogen. Amino acid will be converted into urea. This is what meant by assimilation. Okay, now the second place. The second place is the cell. All right. Now, in the cell, the glucose, of course, is used for cellular respiration. And then the amino acid are used to synthesize protoplasm. Okay. To repair damaged tissues, to form hormone and enzymes. Okay, and then lipids. Okay, lipids is mainly used to synthesize plasma membrane. It is used to synthesize phospholipid and cholesterol. Cholesterol will strengthen the form of plasma membrane. Um, Excess lipid will be stored under the adipose tissue. Will be stored under the skin in the adipose tissue. So if the lipid is excess, it will be stored. So if we revise back, excess glucose will be converted into glycogen. Excess glycogen will be converted into fats. Amino acid, excess amino acid will be turned into urea and excreted from the body. Whereas the lipid, if it is in excess, so it will be stored under the skin in the adipose tissue. All right. So this is the assimilation process that happens in our body, mainly in the liver and in the body cells. So as a conclusion, what we have discussed in this topic is before we have discussed digestion involving the hormones and the organs that digest complex organic compounds into simpler compounds, and then we discuss about the absorption of the digested compound, and after absorption we have discussed about the assimilation of the absorbed nutrient. So after this we are going to discuss more on defecation. Okay, that's all. If you have any question, feel free to ask me in the Telegram group or PM me personally. Thank you.